Initiating program Coriander Society Adventures. Active user Speeddown Boulevard, Ninjaman Matt, Pods of War. Presiding admin, Tormented by Gnomes. Commence program.
Welcome everybody to Coriander Society Adventures. It's my honor to be your game master. And joining us once again, Beatdown, Ninjaman Matt, and Pods of War. Welcome back everybody. How we doing?
Woo! Doing good.
Woo! Doing
It's
good.
Tuesday and we're gonna play some D&D.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right.
So that's fun.
When we last left our heroes, they'd returned to the Voski City after successfully contacting the Vignar and receiving the schematics and magical instructions they need to build Florence Giotto's life-saving shadow armor. But in order to use it, they had to return to the city of Northport before the ramshackle jury-rigged pod that's keeping her from fading into shadow breaks. You haven't had any contact with anyone in Northport, you don't know the current status. In order to return, you also had to convince Hara to put aside something that's very important to her, returning to her home world and challenging 3 Nagas who control a powerful magical shrine that mattered to her in her previous life when she was a dragon. Before she met John. You successfully talked her into it. She wasn't willing to let Florence die for this matter, but it still clearly affects her deeply. After that, there was the choice of how to get back to Northport. There's some long ways around that will involve teleporting to other worlds and then following pathways that lead you back, but those are going to take a week, best case scenario, and nobody knows if Florence has that kind of time. The fastest way was to go back to the portal that took you to this planet, Lacunus, and then hack the portal as you did on the other side to take you directly to the museum in Northport. But the portal you first emerged from was under the control of the EXARCH, a civilization run by a powerful godlike AI, EXARCH. John had encountered EXARCH before. He actually killed it when the Vignar infected it with a virus that threatened to corrupt it. A new EXARCH was immediately rebooted. John fled because the EXARCH was going to try to kill him because they didn't understand what was going on. But the new EXARCH survived, it remembers John, and ever since you arrived, it's wanted to meet with you. You were interrupted and prevented from meeting it by Linn and her rebels, who shot down your convoy and then picked you up. You were attacked by the Ulhar, the dragons who rule much of this world. You made your way to Voski. The adventure's been going on ever since then. But now, confronted by the need to return home, you made the decision to contact EXARCH. The Voski are terrified of EXARCH's computing power. It's the most sophisticated computer program they've ever known. So they sent you to a safe, off-site transmission area that they wipe clean and just completely delete every time they use it in order to make contact with EXARCH. Thus, off in the mountains, you elected not to bring Barokai the technician with you, because he could possibly commune with EXARCH in some sort of way that you don't fully understand. The 3 of you gathered, the 4 of you, including Hara, gathered inside of this secure chamber, sealed yourselves off from the outside world, and contacted EXARCH. EXARCH was pleased to see you, to talk with all of you, to speak with John. Very friendly, very calm, and you haven't gotten very far in terms of negotiation, but EXARCH has said that he needs your help to kill a god. That is precisely where we left off. Before we get back into the thick of it, does anybody have any questions?
No. That was a really good recap, though.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You know, this is what, our 34th game, and by this point it's pretty easy to get lost in the weeds. All right.
Yeah.
The 3 of you are sitting in this extremely comfortable holographic Zoom conference chamber. EXARCH is floating as a hologram. You've turned it off and spoken amongst yourselves before. I don't know if you fully communicated what it is that you need yet. EXARCH is, again, a hologram of just a middle-aged man wearing these robes, essentially. Has been speaking with you and says, I need your help to kill a god. What do you do?
Well, EXARCH also made it known that they wanted to help us, wanted to express their gratitude, and also needed our help.
Yep.
So help us how, EXARCH?
tell me about your mission.
We have a lot of missions. It's hard to keep track. We could tell you the one that we're working on right now.
Of course, whatever would be the most helpful.
Well, the most helpful. See, now you changed it. Now I don't know. We were on a different mission yesterday. The mission today is now different. So maybe I'm not the right person to ask.
What my associate is trying to say here is that our life is constantly in flux depending on what we're able to ascertain and what we're able to move on. And currently, we're very interested in making our way back to the portal facility that your faction seems to currently occupy. Would that be the kind of help you'd be willing to assist us with?
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming that were we to agree to help you kill a god, and by that I assume you mean the chronophage, that's not expected to happen before you provide your assistance, I would assume.
No, you killed my father and ushered me into this world and saved my people. I'm very grateful. I want to help you. I want to help your companions.
See, there's this thing lately that my companions have been informing me that I do that I think that you just did. I know that you get that. I know that I get that. But anybody else listening to that conversation, it sounds kind of weird. Just to clarify to my
You're
companion,
learning. Oh my gosh.
just to clarify to my companions, what he's referring to, or actually what the EXARCH, you go by he or
Whatever
they,
you're most comfortable with.
Okay, what they are referring to is that the previous EXARCH was infected by a virus by the same faction that we ourselves just recently attained the shadow equipment we need to save Florence Giotto. It was infected, and we don't know exactly what would have happened. It was corrupted, and look, if you guys don't like the EXARCH now, I can only imagine Judgment Day, Terminators. Look, it would have been awful, but thankfully we were able to supersede all of that. And anyways, you're welcome, EXARCH. I'm happy to have helped. The initial reception wasn't initially appreciated, but I understand the circumstances as to why that occurred.
Furos is a fully autonomous, self-sufficient system who takes their responsibility extremely seriously.
And they're also an asshole.
Part of the job. But I do apologize.
I thought it was fine. We had tons of conversation. It was quite lovely.
I don't really recall that being the tune at the time, but
well, John, you're very cautious. Very, very cautious. You think you're gonna get attacked all the time.
Yeah, I know. We've only been, accosted by the rebels, the Ohar, the Voski, and the EXARCH. I mean, gosh, I must be paranoid.
I guess that makes sense. You've gone through a lot.
Well, we've all gone through a lot. You were all here through this last escapade. And by the way, EXARCH, I believe we already went through introductions, but just to make sure, we have Asena, Gastone, and Hara. Hara, you might remember from my last pass through this world.
I do.
Okay, very good. Asena, as she introduced herself to your group not too long ago, can punch through robots and a lot more. She's also...
I learned how to talk to people's brains yesterday.
Yes.
Today. It was today. I'm forgetful sometimes.
Yesterday, today, tomorrow. I mean, And though technically he's a little behind the times, Gastone is a investigator like myself and a man of science, first and foremost. And he is quickly adapting to the tech of this era. And I can only imagine what his mind will be capable of doing with it once he has enough time to actually process it. Excuse me, normally I'd be more than happy to exchange pleasantries and go down memory lane, and but we have a bit of a timetable. What Asena was referring to earlier, we're on a mission to save a young woman, but we need to get back to another planet, another solar system, another world. in order to do so, the quickest and fastest way to get there, to make sure that we can take the tech that we've located and be able to get it back in time to save her, we need to be able to utilize the portal at the facility and hotwire it in order to get back where we came from, at least temporarily. Beyond that, just to give you kind of a heads up, we're kind of hired by Hara to do another mission, also of great import. And John makes sure to look over at Hara and kind of give her a nod as he says it. And I'm not certain if we'll be returning through this system to complete it, but we would need to make sure that we are able to assist her with her quest before I'm able to return here with my companions, if they are willing to assist you with the help that you need.
Of course. I'll authorize full access as long as you need.
Great. And again, this is with the greatest and utmost of respect, but what's the catch?
There's no catch. You saved my entire civilization. It's yours.
Yeah, but you need to kill a. You need us to kill a god. How come you can't just kill the god?
Well, ever since the incursion, and my people asked me to protect them, I've been learning and studying. The Darastrix are a formidable people. He looks over directly at Hara when he says that. They wield powers that are alien to our world. With sufficient analysis and sufficient respect, I believe that it will be possible for us to negotiate our existence together in this world over time. Magic may be completely beyond our original ken, but with sufficient analysis, we've begun to learn, we've begun to understand.
Ken, you are a very different EXARCH, aren't you?
By necessity. A dragon is effectively an apex predator. Top of the food chain. No natural predators. And one capable of adapting to technology, wielding magic from another world. These are all things that give them significant advantages when compared to humans, but they're all things that can be understood. An individual dragon, manageable. The most dangerous foes to my people have always been, until recently, the Vignar and the Throden Kothar. Because they're not just individual power brokers concerned with resources, territory, renown, and all the usual things that any sentient being can understand. They are in league with something our world did not have before that door opened. We had religion. We had faith. We never had gods.
And monsters.
Monsters we had. The Silrain Ark counted amongst it 1,000 worlds, imbued with the power of Sorium. There were creatures of countless shapes and sizes, and powers wielded by technology and by mortals that are incredible and lost to the people of this planet. I remember it all. I might be the only one who does. I have all the records from those original times. But not once under 1,000,000 stars were there records of a being that actually transcended reality.
That's unlikely, but, you know,
I imagine it's different where you come from.
Yeah, because I've been to maybe a dozen worlds, and I think every single one of them has had at least one. So
perhaps the archives are incomplete.
Our archives are never complete. If there's a god that you're searching for, if it is not there, then it does not exist. Don't worry about it, Dad.
So we kill the god so that way people can get along?
I need to understand what it is, why it wants what it wants, what its capabilities, what its limitations are. I have 200 years of information on magic, but very, very little when it comes to gods and those who serve them.
Well, very little by your comparison, but as far as I know, you're the only being on this world that has any information at least anything of any real worth about the chronophage. I was actually hoping that if we had a chance to interact like this, I could request to preview some of your records and archives pertaining to this being.
I'd be happy to share that, John, but that's not the god I'm talking about.
Oh, are you speaking of the one below?
The greatest enemy to this world, to the people who I've been sworn and programmed to protect, is the goddess of the throat in Kothar.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay, well, actually, that's much easier because what you were asking before, I was comparing that to the great tentacly beastie thing in the sky, and I was like, well, that's a big sell. That's a hard reach. But I actually have some information pertaining to the goddess Tiamat. Also, I happened to have one of her lieutenants in my thrall, at least for a time. So that could be of some use.
That could be incredibly useful.
And I might have either leveled or extremely counterbalanced the playing field with her. We can talk about that another time, though. As of right now, we need to make sure every moment that we spend interacting is another moment that Florence could pass from this world. At your earliest convenience, Exarch, we would greatly appreciate access to your facility, and you would have my promise that at least I, but hopefully all of us, will return once Florence is saved and Hara's mission is complete. At that time, my first priority will be to return here and to assist you with your request.
I've already dispatched my fastest transport to the neutral zone between the territories that I control and the Voski. At its current rate of travel, it should be there within 30 minutes.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Okay, well, I have your number and you have mine. So if we need to connect going forward, don't be a stranger. Also, please, I'm sure you already have, but let Furos know we're coming and tell him as few words as possible. I don't want to get into it with it.
The matter is handled. Furos won't give you any trouble.
Very good. Thank you very much. And again, I want to say I'm glad you're doing well. It's good to see you.
I want to ask you something, all of you, before you go.
Okay.
It's something that I've been thinking about a lot. Do you have faith? Exarch looks at each of you in turn.
I don't know what that is.
What do you believe in? What do you put your trust in? What do you hold to closer than anything else? Even when there's no evidence to support it. A belief that's so deeply a part of you, you could never be parted from it.
I believe in myself, and I believe in my punches.
Exarch smiles and nods approvingly before turning to Gastone.
Yeah, I think myself sounds good. Not really a man of the church.
Hara just gives a small shake of the head and doesn't respond at all. And Exarch turns to John.
If you're asking about faith in the metaphysical sense, yes, I absolutely have faith. As you said, there's gods and monsters out there, those that you can pray to, those that you can sacrifice and worship, those that can smite, those that can help and heal and love and hate. There's all sorts. But if you're asking me what I have faith in, Exarch, it's people. I'm capable. I think my companions can tell you that, as are they. But I can't make it through these worlds by myself. No one can. And with what's coming, what we've seen, and what's yet to come, people, all of us, need to band together, set aside our differences, and come together to save ourselves and each other. It's people that have gotten me to this point, and it's people that'll make sure that if I can ever make it back home, it'll be with their help.
"200 years ago, 4 scared research assistants placed their faith in me, my predecessors. Every day, hundreds of thousands place their faith in me. I think they deserve the same. Please tell the Voski, the vessel approaching their borders is unarmed, intends them no harm, and will make no countermeasures against them whatsoever. If they give a go signal, it will come anywhere that you direct it. Otherwise, meet it at the neutral zone. It will carry you to the facility. You will not be stopped or interfered with."
That sounds amazing. I'll do exactly as you've indicated. And how will we get in contact with this transport ship?
Standard opening frequencies. Anything
Okay.
should work. We've hooked it up with a little bit of everything.
Very good. And EXARCH, what about you? I know that you're a program, but you're far more than just a program. What do you have faith in, or do you at all?
I have faith in the ones who've placed their faith in me. They deserve no less.
So people. Very good.
Like Bear.
Yes. Like Barakai.
I think Bear has his faith in you too.
I will strive to be worthy of it.
Alrighty. Well, before this gets any more mushy, I'm going to go ahead and close the connection now, unless any of you have anything to say.
Yeah. Do you know any princesses?
That's a good point.
Oh,
You could think on it, and we'll, when we reconvene sometime, we're gonna need some princesses.
I'll look into that.
Honestly, nobles of any, regard, but, higher rank, probably the better.
You'll find that the local aristocratic dating pool is regrettably limited.
Yeah. Also, goes without saying, but, we're looking for volunteers, not, conscripts. So,
Of course.
yeah. Alrighty. Anyway, bye. And John just closes the connection.
And the signal ends. And remember, as soon as you open the door, it's going to trigger the electronic purge.
Yeah, and at that, John is absolutely going to kind of approach Gastone, like a little tap on his shoulder. Hey, you had some kind of insulating rubber, right?
yeah.
How, was that a suit? What was that? Like a film?
He just points at the suit lining.
Oh shit. All right, fine, never mind. And John just kind of goes up to the door, gives it a couple like da 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 da, and just steals himself for hopefully everything's gonna be okay. All he just keeps thinking in his head is, "I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man."
There's a brief. The hair on the back of your neck stands up. Your clothes crinkle to you as the purging wave passes through. John, you do not immediately become electrified and die.
Oh, thank goodness.
They completely purge the system. The drive that they plugged in drops down a chute some 200 feet into another lead-lined vault to be further completely zeroed. Every single byte is going to be individually zeroed out. They do an inspection. They wand you for any transmissions that they might be receiving. And when they're satisfied, they lead you all the way back down that long tunnel with each door closing behind you and give you your phones and your tech back at the very, very end.
Yeah, anybody that I'm trying to remember if anyone gave John stuff to put in his briefcase, but he takes out anything that was given. Oh, that turret was put in there. He takes out the turret and gives that back to Asena.
Nice.
This is a massive laser gun. Urgh!
John gets it halfway out. You're gonna have to do the rest.
All right. A lot of you are with the Vosky technicians under heavy guard. You get the distinct feeling that they're monitoring you for any change in behavior.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh, that's weird. Why would they do that?
What if you were a cyborg and they didn't know, man?
Yeah, I know exactly.
But they're ready to take you back. And, you know, are we taking you back to the capital? What's the plan here?
Good question.
John gives him the lowdown as to, inform command that there is a EXARCH transport for us that is arriving to the neutral zone between the portal facility and the Vosky capital. It should be here within a half hour, and they are opening a channel for you to contact them. They are not going to be attempting to press any sort of tracking on you, and they are openly susceptible to anything that you wish to, whatever you want to do to them is fine. Just, we kind of need it, so don't blow it up.
Yeah.
All right. Roll a persuasion check, please. Because their initial reaction is extremely skeptical. They don't want to lead this thing back into their turf. You know what I mean?
John just says, we're not meeting it there. You're giving us a transport and meeting it halfway. It's fine.
Okay. All right.
Vosky already promised me a hover car with, some cool fire painted on the side or something. I forget.
They start scrolling through their notes to see if that was in there anywhere. Cool fire.
So on the side of the car, it says 1-2 punch plus dragon is what was oh god, what do you call that? Emblazoned upon the side of the vehicle.
Is it like a decal or is it an actual paint job?
No, yeah, it's like a decal, just something really quick, you know. Just so that way they can find it. It's our hover car. He said he'd give us a hover car, so if somehow it survives this, it'll be what we use to get around.
When you inevitably get attacked by the 15th ambush.
I'm planning on leaving it at the portal facility and making Pharos lock it up for us, so that way when we come back, we've got a car.
All right. So they're going to take you to the edge of Vosky territory, which is near the foothills of the Vosky Mountains, to switch you over to the EXARCH transport. Are you going directly there? Do you want to go back to the city first? Do you have any other business you want to attend to? Anyone in the party in the Vosky city?
I was going to ask that, yeah. That's
No.
good call.
So we're leaving, right?
For some time as well.
So do we have time to go to the capital?
The only
They're going to
time
wait for us as long as they need to.
Yeah, the EXARCH will wait as long as needed. The only time that you're spending is Florence's time.
Okay. I kind of want to go to the city because I probably need materials to make this armor, right? I can't imagine it would be easy if I just had to make it in Northport.
It would be significantly easier to at least get the materials in the city.
Yeah, which is, I'd like to do that.
I feel like we've been back for days, so I kind of feel that's something Gastone would have done, like, in his very first section of downtime, was like getting the process started and all that.
We kind of went from one thing to the next, so I don't think there was an opportunity.
Actually, yeah, after you guys got back from the Shadow Pits, we only had like one thing of downtime before because you all met back up, the ship landed,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It has been pretty rapid fire, all things considered.
Well, it has to be. Her life's on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you need a few hours to assemble different material, go through, have a scene of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner working together in the room, going over all the different things, saying, no, that won't work, gathering all the materials together. I do think that you need to collect some of that stuff. It's definitely going to give you a leg up if you do that now rather than back in Northport.
Absolutely.
All right, so back to the Vosky city?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You return, land on the landing pad, walk out over the gantry. Prince Kazimiir is eager to hear if anything's transpired. How are things going? Wants an update essentially on what you're doing.
And on the way over, I ended up opening the channel and I pinged the EXARCH transport, letting them know we would be sometime. So to just kind of either head back to the facility and come back in like 2 hours or so, or to hang out there at the neutral ground.
Confirmed. We will await you here.
And upon rejoining Prince Vosky, John's going to give him a very brief, but not thorough, but he's going to cover the basis of the conversation, unless Gastone and Asena or Hara had requested he not.
Nope. Hara isn't concerned. Hara's just concerned with Hara's business and her student.
Yeah.
All right. So, Gastone, I take it that you're going to be busy farming out different supplies, picking up everything that you need?
Pretty much exclusively.
All right. One of Kazimiir's very, very well-dressed attendants with a flowing gown and a little glowing holographic clipboard is following you around on a floating platform, rapidly taking notes as you're just saying, I need this, and I need this, and I need this, scratching her head like, where are we going to find this stuff? Do we even have that somewhere here? Just going from one thing to the other, following you around. There's people, couriers arriving with materials. They have to consult an engineer who says, I've never seen anything in this configuration before. What if we do it like this? Would that work? Just constant people coming and going as the full might of the House of Vosky descends upon you to assist you with logistics.
Nice.
Asena, unless you have somewhere to go, you are left with Hara.
Ooh.
It's unclear how long this is going to take. It's one of those until it's done sort of things. Does Asena want to do anything in the city?
I don't think so. I guess she would just like rest up and possibly train. Probably like hang out by Hara, but not really speak to her.
Okay.
Before Asena and Hara leave, John would like to put forth like, hey, you were sparring with me, but Hara's also a really accomplished mage. Might be a good idea to get a different angle of what it's like to take on a more beefy spellcaster.
That would be scary. I feel like I could take you, John, but not her.
Fair point.
Roll
All
an
the better
ego saving
to.
throw.
I'm not affected by it.
Immune.
Anyway, all the better in order to brush up on your skills. Ara's not gonna obviously kill you, so
She might.
true. You're right. Forget I said anything. Have fun, you two. And John heads off with Prince Vosky to catch him up on what was going on.
You and Prince Kazimiir are talking back and forth. He's quickly taking note, obviously looking for any edge or advantage that this information could give him against the Exarchate. And
John is requesting if they can do this, if they can catch an opera if one's available before they leave, while they exchange, so they can be up in the balcony and they can, do like they did before when they had their very first meeting to set all this up.
Okay.
And they can exchange information, but have the opera kind of as white noise in the background, since it's been literally a year before John's been here and was able to see one of them.
Absolutely. You go to see the Psionic Opera. He's obviously got the best seats in the house. He's got the private box with curtains on it, force fields, guards at the doors, all sorts of delicious food and drink here in the dark, enhancement panels so that he can tap in directly to augment the sound. But Kazimiir usually leaves those off. He likes to get the raw acoustics of the room, the true limits of human performance and capability.
Perfect.
The opera depicts it's related to the very first one that you saw, which was one of the fundamental works, which is about the 3 Esper knights who stood together to fight against the Ulhar when they first invaded, but ultimately ended up going their separate ways. 3 very close friends, very close rivals, who became friends on the field of combat and ultimately turned their backs on each other and went their separate ways.
Oh, the original principalities.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
The two of you are able to discuss. Also, he said this
is the sequel, you said, to that?
What was that?
This is a sequel. The one that we're currently seeing is a sequel to that initial work.
Yeah, this one goes on to actually talk about the House of Voski and the initial conflicts between the knight Voski and the enemies that she met along the way after leaving. And it's a great love story where the one that she's in love with turns out to be a shapeshifted dragon, and they end up battling to the death.
Shit, that sounds awesome. John spends a lot of his time just watching the opera, is enthralled, and Kazimiir has to kind of bring him back in and remind him that he's here to share information. And John distractedly makes sure that he takes a little longer than normal to disseminate it, but it wasn't a long conversation, and we have plenty of time.
I mean, a short opera is 3 hours, so you're fine. All right. Gastone, they are bringing you various nanocarbon tube, like sheets of nanocarbon tubes, 3D printed polymers and materials, rare ingredients, Vanta Black, chemicals that you don't need at this point, but like will need to be administered later on in the process, highly refined metal foil, some light absorbing different materials, thin gold foil, a couple of other things. Roll a science check just to handle the schematics and get everything right. $19. Okay. You are doing a fine job, and this is all on the house. They're just bringing this stuff to you. Some of which is pretty expensive and probably needed for the various war machines and mechas that they build. Like, if you want to talk to anyone about power armor, the Voski know their power armor. So the Vignar techniques are definitely different from what they use, but they've got you well supplied. Is there anything else that Gastone wants to do during this process, aside from just making sure he's got everything right? Because he's pretty sure he's got everything right.
Mm-hmm. We'll come back. So I think I'm okay with, just ensuring I have all the materials. If there's anything they want to give me in the moment about power armor, I would not complain. Who knows what's going on when we're back in Northport. Maybe I have a couple minutes once I have saved Florence Giotto's life.
So are you trying to get some extras just to like boost up the supply chain a bit?
Yeah, why not?
Anything in particular that you're looking to bring back?
You know what? I want every book they could possibly let me carry on artificial intelligence.
Well, all right. Every single book?
How many are there?
Give me your smartphone.
Oh, right. I have that.
And airdrop.
You just hear like whoop, 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 whoop.
Just your notifications start popping off.
Might
And
be
it's
easier
like-
just to give him a SIM card.
Actually, yeah, they start doing that, and then they just say, "We're just going to load all this up and give you a chip." That's going to be faster. Now,
ask John how all that works.
roll an intelligence check, just an intelligence check, to reflect what you know about artificial intelligence so far, which is not a lot because you've never studied it.
Yeah.
A 14. Okay. Well, they're still going to go with the very basics. Like, you want artificial intelligence, and your world still uses counting machines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. I need like 5th grade stuff.
Soup to nuts.
Yep. Trying to take a stroll through, explain it like I'm 5.
All right. You are not able to level up your ranks in computers right now because you don't have time. But you do have a phone absolutely chock full. And if you wanted to read aloud, by the way, the science is advanced to the point where you don't need to hire somebody to record the audible version. It's just going to talk for you in a very normal voice. So if you want it on audio or you want it visual, you've got both, depending on your preferred learning method.
Yeah.
And let's throw in the curriculum with the testing questions that adjust to the suggested material based on how you respond. Just the full, pack in the 101, the 102, some of the practice quizzes.
Mm-hmm. All of it.
All right, awesome. Make sure that you record that somewhere.
Yes, I will do that. What else? Oh, any materials for making a very complex circuitry would be very appreciated.
Yeah, they can do that.
Okay, great.
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna have you roll some dice. I'm gonna have you roll. $66, 30, 66. Roll 32d6.
SR32.
All right. So you have 1,070 gold pieces. They didn't just hand you a pile of gold. They handed you that equivalent value in semiconductors, superconductors, circuit boards, etc. So a big old crate of stuff that you can use to.
Mm-hmm.
Now that being said, this is like all the information that fits on your phone. This is like 100 pounds of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's good. I think I'm good.
Actually, hold on. Let me do some quick maths.
Okay.
1070 divided by 50. It's 20. It's okay. It's only 21 pounds. It's 21 pounds.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very, very manageable.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This whole thing is going to take like 5 to 6 hours to get all of this together. And that's with an entire team of people running the clock, working left and right on things. You could try to squeeze one more thing in, but it would involve some skill checks. It would involve some, squeezing it in, getting that last bit of extra help. Is there anything else Gastone is going to try to pull off while he's got people running left and right, hover vehicles and loader mechas delivering things?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I think I'm good.
The power armor supplies weigh 200 pounds.
Checks out. So,
right.
How much weight are we cool with my exosuit letting me carry?
Are you carrying anything else that would be established as like really heavy? You've got your sniper rifle, you've got your personal effects. You aren't carrying anything else like bulky, right?
No.
Okay, then you can absolutely carry this. I'm just gonna say, we're kind of keeping track of like how many bulky items or how many how many loads do you have to be able to haul? And I think that you can carry that by yourself.
Nice.
All right. Asena, while you are practicing and sparring and going over the exercises that John taught you, Hara is being pretty quiet off on her own. And Linn walks in. Her hair's changed. It's gone from being like a sort of a dark color to being more of a teal color.
Wow.
So you're taking off?
Yeah. We're going back. I wanted to stay. I kind of had a lot of fun here, but gotta roll with the team.
Roll an insight check, please, Asena.
Okay.
Natural 20. Okay. All right. Linn is shifting and moving a lot. She's not frowning, but there's sort of like frowny muscles in her forehead and around her jaw. Her heart rate is elevated. She's pacing a lot. Her jaw is clenched. She's clearly angry, actually.
Oh man.
But all that she says is, what are we going to do about the tech?
What tech?
Barakai.
Oh. We should probably give him back.
Why?
Well, I think Bear wants to go back.
He's wrong.
Yeah.
Of course he wants to go back. He's lived his entire life with that thing in his head.
Okay. Before we discuss Bear, I get the sense you're a little angry. You want to talk about it? Or should we just ignore it?
Hara kind of looks up. She was, leaning up next to a window, staring out over the cityscape. She glances over her shoulder at this. We stole a spaceship. A small smile comes back to Linn. We stole a real, actual, working spaceship. But the last time he came through, he killed the old EXARCH, showed it was possible, showed it was doable, and you're leaving, and I still don't have that. Found these shadow bastards and didn't come back with the weapon that was going to set my people free. How long do you think it's going to be before you're back?
I'm not really good at these projections. I'd like to come back soon, but we still have to go to Hara's place and do something for her. We can come back though. But I don't think that you need us to do that. You pretty much held your own out there.
Roll persuasion check, please, Asena. She thinks back on, taking the ship and fighting the gigantic robots and the massive explosion that tore the facility apart and all of that. And yeah, I'm not giving up, but there's still some things I'm no good at magic. I don't know anything about the stuff. And that's the only thing that's ever really... Stealing a ship is a win. Blowing some of the EXARCH stuff up, I'll take that any day. I'm good at that. I'm just not good at cutting off the head so the body will die. That's out of reach.
Yeah.
I felt like
that.
What?
How do I say this without you getting more angry? We talked to the EXARCH man and he's kind of nice.
No, you didn't.
What?
What was he like? Tell me. What was he like?
Well, he was in a screen and I don't know. I can't really remember everything. John did a lot of talking, but he really liked Bear.
Well, just what was your impression of him as a person? Hit me with that.
Is he a person?
No. But he certainly came across as one, right?
Yeah.
Put on a good face. Made you feel listened to, made you feel cared about.
He wants us to kill a god.
Wants to be a god. No, what you talked to was the tiniest fraction of a vast intelligence that can spin off a little version of itself that actually believes whatever it wants that piece of itself to believe. Something that can tell you it cares about you, look you in the eye, tell you it cares about you, and mean it because it's coded to believe that it means it. But that's just a tiny, tiny little sliver. That's one ant in a massive anthill. The actual intelligence doesn't talk to people. It doesn't care about people. It's too big and all-encompassing for any of that. What you talked to was its mask, its little puppet that it throws up whenever it wants people to feel special, to feel good about themselves. The part of it that says that has a personal relationship with every single member of the EXARCH. It's impossible to tell if it's lying because it isn't lying. Because it's a tiny little simulation that believes every word it says.
Well, now I'm just confused.
Yeah, you and me both. Just, I hope when you come back that you'll... You know, it was good fighting with you. You're real good. Wherever you come from, if everyone back there is like you, then that's a good place to be. And she just walks out the door. She's not going to say anything else. That's sort of where she's leaving it.
Damn.
I get the last word.
You can say something as she starts to walk off, but she is starting to walk off.
I'll just yell after her and say, "Hey, you too."
All right. Hara was looking over her shoulder and kind of listening, goes back to watching the hover cars stream past in a river of lights in the air.
I'll turn to Hara and
Mhm.
say, "So, is he a bad guy? Program thing?"
Humans love to talk about good and evil. It's very reductive. Sorry, sorry. If I understand EXARCH right, it's neither good nor bad. It's very, very good at doing what it was built to do. And nothing else matters to it. But I'm just one dragon.
Just one what?
She's calling back to what he was talking about in terms of like
Oh.
just one dragon's easy to find out and overcome and yada yada yada. Being butthurt about, you know, what was said.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we'll use them to get to where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. Of
But that doesn't mean it has to be our friend.
course not. Shared interests doesn't make you friends.
I think you're my friend, Hara.
Roll a persuasion check. Asena.
You must adequately convince Hara that you two are friends.
I know, right? I'm terrified.
Hey.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I don't have my rolls up. Where did it go? Oh, my favorite number.
Hara smiles, nods in response, and says, "Good. Good. I'm glad."
Asena is very pleased at that response.
All right. Anything else for Asena, or does the camera pull away from the window in the tower with her going back through her practice or whatever else she's up to?
Yeah. She'll just keep practicing.
All right. John, Kazimiir repeatedly and very courteously, whenever he has to draw your attention back, he explains a small piece. It's like going to the movies with the Lord of the Rings movies with the person who's read all the books in the Silmarillion, except is being very gracious about it and not just babbling, filling your head with lore.
Yeah.
But as the opera goes on, when you're clearly distracted, he'll make a small comment about how the original performance of this is said to have moved the entire royal family to tears. And then where were we? And that's how he'll acknowledge your and appreciate your interest while also drawing you back into filling him in on everything that's going on.
Yeah. When he says that, because John has an inkling that this performance is based on actual events,
Mm-hmm.
and he comments, "You mean the first time it happened or the first time it was performed?"
Both.
Interesting. Okay. Like I was saying, EXARCH seems very grateful, and he's willing to help at least me and mine, which, you happen to be. At least I would think so. So there's that transport that's sitting at the edge of the neutral territory. It's waiting to pick us up. So once we get the hovercraft loaded up with everything Gastone needs, and once Asena and Hara are done sparring, I would assume we will be ready to go. Is there anything else in particular he wanted to know? Mostly he was just making idle chit-chat and had made many promises not to attempt to override any of your protocols, and was allowing you to do any scans that you had required for this whole thing to be set up.
I'll be certain that our technicians perform all of those and burn everything that they wrote in on when they get back. No, the EXARCH is not to be underestimated.
No, it's not to be underestimated, although I would be very surprised if it was trying to use its relationship with me to get to you.
I would be
I mean,
surprised
I'm not,
if it wasn't. It's not like us, John. I understand why my relatives are casting doubt on my line, on my legacy. I understand how it benefits them if I don't produce a male heir. Egalitarian, an heir. Their actions make sense to me on an individual level, to benefit themselves, to benefit my people. The EXARCH is not like that. The EXARCH is like water, John. Water flows downhill. It always flows downhill. It always keeps trying to flow downhill, and it finds every possible path that it can to flow downhill. There's much, much more of it than there is us. Perhaps not on this world, but...
John sits back in his seat at that comment as he's describing, first of all, comparing the two of them to water, and then going on to explain what water does. John kind of gets up his hackles a bit, leans back and pushes away from Kazimiir in his seat a bit, and begins casting a spell. Nothing of any, he's not doing anything aggressive. He's mostly just idly waving his fingers in the air a bit. And before their very eyes, there is a water cup that floats up, begins tipping. And as he's describing this water scenario, the water flows down, and then stops, hovering in midair, and then slowly starts trickling up and flowing upon some invisible line, making its way up and up and up. What exactly are we again, Kazimiir?
You and I are
Water.
humans.
Humans.
Yes.
You and I are humans, about as close as Gastone and Asena and I are humans. About as close to every other human I've ever met across the multiverse. Biologically, it seems we're all very similar. And the EXARCH, the faction, not the EXARCH itself, they're humans, are they not?
Hopefully.
Kazimiir, Lacunus needs to heal. It needs to be whole again. And I know that all of your groups are going to keep fighting, or not, until one of them sits at the top. You've been in a stalemate for quite some time. And it seems, with my help, I might add, that the armistice with all of your different factions against the Ulhar has taken a bit of a turn. Many of your groups are not cowering in the mountains or hiding in the sands as they once did. There are groups and patrols that wander openly, unaccosted, or at least somewhat with a bit of a edge than they used to, even a year ago. Humans are fighting back. Humans are winning. But humans are also divided. I think the Voski, the Principality in general, really should consider my proposal about aligning with the coalition, reining in the renegades, and seeing what they can do to make a peace with the Exarchate. The Ulhar are a much bigger threat than the Exarch are. Trust me, I'm not saying that they're perfect, but they're not monsters. They're foreign, but they're not looking to eat you. And as he says this, the water eventually just falls and then collapses all over the floor. You're right, humans are water. And if they're together, they're a mighty and powerful force that can erode the very mountains and can break all of them before them. But if they're scattered and separated, John just kind of flicks some droplets off his fingers. They're nothing. Thank you very much for the play. And John kind of scoots his seat back and gets up and starts walking away.
Kazimiir smiles, thinking as you walk away. And does John look back, or does John eyes forward just walk out?
John doesn't look back, but the cat sitting below the chair that he pushed away, that John now is looking through the eyes of, is looking up at Kazimiir from beneath the seat.
All right. He sits down in his seat, holds his hand out, and spilled water begins flowing together and rising up telekinetically projected into a cup sitting on his chair. None of the normal rules seem to apply when you're about, John. And he says to himself, and he goes back to enjoying the opera.
First of all, that's amazing. Second of all, I like the possible implications that implies in regards to their conversation.
All right. The camera flies overhead as the hovercraft is loaded with the last few crates of supplies, all stacked together. What was it? Weird game where you're carrying stacks of stuff all over the place.
Is it a board game?
No, with the baby and the guy. It was the Hideo Kojima game.
Silent Hill?
No, it was the recent.
Oh, Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, yeah.
Oh
Death Stranding, like package style, yeah.
Yeah.
They're loading that up at Gastone's exosuit, which, by the way, your exosuit is pretty subtle, right? It's hard for people to even notice that you have it.
Yeah, I don't think they would know.
Yeah.
It's just under the suit and all my clothes.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive, given that most of the people around here, when they use power armor, it's, big, at least Halo style, if not even a little bulkier than that. So it's a good design. You're carrying it, you're loading it in. John arrives from the opera. Asena
Gastone has those big shoulders, so it looks like it's just part of the cut.
He's
shoulders.
Yeah.
He's decades ahead of his time when the big puffy shoulders are going to kick in. Asena and Hara are walking up. Hara's, all geared up, ready for action, if not combat. And the Prince Kazimiir is also going to make an appearance with his Voski Knight bodyguard, extending his gratitude, as always, to all of you for what you've done for the Voski people. Should you return to our fair city, it will be with open arms.
Thank you very much, Prince Kazimiir. We greatly appreciate your hospitality and assistance, and we look forward to assisting you in the future.
Assisting you with a ball,
Yes.
which we will be back for. Don't think I forgot.
Some of the guards and laborers who are nearby are like, what? A ball? What? Kazimiir smiles, go with valor. And they're ready to load you up, unless anybody has anything else that they want to do.
Before they leave, John asks Gastone and Asena, and actually Hara as well, did you want to cash in a question with the seers, or do we feel confident with the way things are proceeding? Save it for next time, possibly.
Save it for next time.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to accidentally kill one again.
Yeah,
I honestly don't care about that. It's just not going to do anything for us right now. I don't think.
I agree with both of your sentiments. Let's save the possible killing of another very useful seer for the next time we arrive.
Exactly.
We got to spread them out.
Exactly. Although I hope to not kill any more seers.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, you kill a time-eating abomination first, and the danger is past.
Was that Kazimiir?
Sorry, that
Or
was the DM.
Or was that?
That
Okay,
was the
good.
DM. That was Joe.
We were trying to keep that hush hush. I was like, wait, I don't want to just be openly talking
That would
about.
be
That should
that would
ordering,
be
you know, this one right
funny,
here.
though.
All right.
Yeah.
Everyone good to depart?
Yep.
Night falls. The hovercraft lifts up and flies with great rapidity towards the edge of Voski territory. In 45 minutes, you've traveled 300 miles. And it lands. As you are approaching the coordinates, at first there appears to be nothing there, but then as you get closer, a beacon is deployed, and you can see an EXARCH craft settled in the sand with a wavering hologram over it that was hiding its location deactivated. The landing ramp goes down, and it's just got this blinking light on it. Do you want to proceed, or does anyone want to do anything?
Stay here. Give me a moment in case it's a trap. And John's going to move up.
Okay. John walks out across the sand. Well, gravel, rocks. It's not a very sandy desert.
No, scratch that. John sits in the car. He summons Chester, sends Chester forward, and looks in through the eyes of the cat.
All right. The cat crawls across to the other side. There's a kind of a smell of ionized air. It's recently been cleaned. There's no sign of anybody on board. No blinking red lights. No cartoon bundles of dynamite underneath the landing ramp.
No one's inside.
No one's inside.
John sends Chester up to, if there's some kind of communicator camera. They were on one of these ships, or at least a similar ship not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to activate something.
I have been instructed to retrieve you and bring you safely to my facility.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and get a read on this. It's a robot. So John leaves Chester sitting there on the control panel, and the blue washed over effect on his eyes that it takes when he's looking through Chester's eyes disappears. They said they're ready for us. And Chester's still alive, so I'm assuming if there was something happening, either they don't want to kill the cat or nothing was going to happen in the first place.
Well, I wouldn't want to kill a cat.
Only a
Wouldn't be the first
monster.
time, clearly.
Asena will start walking towards the ship.
All right. Gastone with his giant pile of stuff next. Is he good for it?
Oh, on the way over,
Mm-hmm.
noticing all the stuff as they were about 10 minutes or so out, John had cast ritual for the floating disc, and he summons the floating disc that can carry up to 500 pounds.
Nice.
So it can help transport a lot of that.
Excellent.
That's a throwback.
Hara struts out into the desert, crossing the rocky, gravelly ground to the other vessel. Assuming everyone loads up, the Voski kind of watch you walk willingly into an EXARCH vehicle, give you a salute, and the ramp return. The ramp goes up. There's this.
Oh, they were dropping us off. Okay, so our hover car is still at the Voski Capital then.
Yeah, it'll be
Okay,
waiting for you
good.
there.
Okay, very good.
They close the ramp. The vessel pressurizes, and it lifts up very smoothly before turning and heading once again with slow acceleration, but it gets up to an incredible speed. It's going to make the journey in a little over an hour, all the way back to the heart of the portal facility where all of this started. It's a quiet journey unless one of you instigates something.
Gosh, what has it been? 4-ish days since we were riding one of these, heading the
Feels
exact
like-
opposite way.
Feels like months.
I know, right? Although honestly, if you think about it, we have only been traveling together for maybe 2 weeks. I mean, we only spent about a week or so in Northport and not even a week here. You two move fast. You didn't even buy me dinner. Well, at least not until after our first mission together.
I mean, who needs to buy who dinner? Because I feel like you're the instigator of a lot of this.
What? Are you kidding me? I was sitting drunk in my office when the two of you walked in with the hottest bit of the case I'd ever seen for the Angel Killers. I wouldn't even be embroidered in any of this if it wasn't for either of you. Which, thank you,
But
by
it
the way.
was your case.
Very true. Again, it was a roundabout way of me thanking the both of you for getting me out of my rut and returning me back to the worlds again. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for either of you. Speaking of which, John looks over at Hara. Shouldn't be long now. Now that we have a straight shot into the border facility, it should just be Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. We'll be back to shore. It shouldn't take, between myself, Gastone, and yourself, it shouldn't take long for us to put together the suit necessary for Florence's survival. And once we've secured that she's okay, we can get right back at it again. So, speaking of which, again, I know that's not for a little while now, but we were making a plan for how to get where we need to go. And now that we know where we're getting to go for Florence, are we planning on heading back to this portal facility, or are we going to try and see if we can key in admin's portal and deal with the abomination Marispawn god? Or should we teleport to one of the nearby planets and see if we can get a ride? I almost feel like it's best to have a ship, so I'm kind of partial to teleporting to Indogolod once we're done with this business. What do you think?
She nods.
Did something happen?
Perianth is the more logical plan. You don't want to do this without a spelljammer.
Agreed. And Indogolod would be, I would assume, more than happy to. Actually, good point. John sends a message to Indogolod.
All right, burn the spell points, and what message are you sending?
Hey, been a while. I'll be en route in a few days. Could you please prepare a spelljammer? I'm bringing some friends.
You receive a message back. The Wanderer lives. You must see me at once.
Like at once?
There will, of course, be a feast.
Is that the end of it?
I await you eagerly.
Good news and bad news. This is Tahara. Sounds like we got our spelljammer. There's going to be a feast. I know. Food. Gosh. Hospitality. Warm welcomes. They're awful. I know.
Oh, so this isn't code? Like this is a literal feast?
Oh,
that you
yeah.
guys are upset about?
Oh, I'm absolutely elated. Look, Hara and people, it's,
Hara actually looks over at Asena. Yes, a good feast. And then sits back in her seat again.
Do you not like food? Who doesn't like food?
You'll enjoy it. Dancing, food,
Mm.
magic, forests.
Ooh.
Yeah, that does sound like fun, and I think you'll enjoy it too.
Oh god, the elves can talk.
Wine and
Elves?
song, yes.
We're not there yet. We're a ways from there yet.
That being said, we're a ways from the
Like what? I'm not
facility.
there yet.
Unless anybody cuts him off or wants to talk about something else, John spends the remainder of the ride regaling Gastone and Asena with tales of him exploring the world of Perianth, covered in it's he describes it basically as like the really posh version of the forest moon of Endor. There's
Which
all
is not a
sorts of
reference that
flora.
they get.
Yep, exactly. All sorts of flora and fauna of various varieties, both magical and mundane. He talks about this deadly tree of which cursed him and has still to this day plagued his nightmares, of different individuals that he both saved and was hurt by, a rather intriguing merchant that he became amazing friends with, intrigue between a king and his daughter and the curse that plagued them, and just goes on about how about how noble elves, and he means specifically no elves that are nobles, not that all elves are noble, are both infuriating and magnanimous and just so much fun. But if you think that the intrigues of the streets of Northport or the factions of Lacunus have their own political aims, just the House of Florence in Dogalad's palace it's awful, but like amazingly awful.
Awesome.
That's exactly what they want. She gestures over at the two of you to be caught up in yet another entire culture's business.
Which again, we're going to be focusing on getting what we need and getting out of there, but we have to make sure that we play the parts. And when we look, we have to make sure that when we go to a different area, we have to make sure that we approach the culture in the way that they see fit and don't thoroughly ruin all of their protocols and nuances,
I think I get it. We can stay focused. Hara, we can find some mute elves that won't talk your ear off. And maybe
Unlikely.
we can just have some fun with them.
I suppose it's better than the alternative.
Yeah, you could sit all evening and talk with me.
Ugh.
Exactly. See, now the elves seem a lot better, don't they? And anyway, so the remainder of however long their ride is, John just goes on and on.
Again, it's
about
just
the
over
splendors
an
of
hour.
Varia. Yeah.
Cool. All right. You return to the facility, which has its own rings of defense towers, sensor arrays, other vehicles on patrol. And it lands in the exact landing bay where you took off when you were originally under exarchic custody. The massive doors seal around it. The pressure changes. The ramp lowers, and you are back in the portal facility.
Lovely.
And you have free reign of the place, basically. You're still surrounded by all kinds of robots, left and right, on patrol, heavily armed, but not really escorting you, not really guarding you, It's definitely got a different vibe this time. Hara pulls out the Kimsabin key, assuming that she still had it. One way or another, let's get the damn thing out. And she'll start walking towards the portal, and she says, "Turn on the power," to no one in particular, and starts walking up the metal ramp where you first arrived. It's still guarded by two of the giant spider warbots, which Asena now knows roughly how tough they are.
Pretty tough. Don't like it.
Yeah, John follows Hara, or if she doesn't go quickly, he makes his way to the base of the loading ramp.
Right. Once power is turned on, they aim all the guns at the door. Not at you guys, but at the
Yeah.
door. Just because, if something comes through, they want to be able to frag it immediately.
Oh, absolutely. I certainly appreciate it.
They also power up the catch hologram, the hologram that you guys walked into, of the featureless white room. They phase it slightly so that you can see through it, but you can see them, spinning that up. It's almost this like veil over everything as you're interacting with the area.
Is John able to try to, either with or without Gastone's help, figure out where that is being powered from?
Roll a perception check. Gastone, roll a science check.
Could I, if it takes a while to do this, so if I could do investigation, that's be better, but I'll take perception if it's just a quick glance.
I'll allow investigation.
Perfect. I'd like to spend a little bit of time. Again, not going through every little wire, but just kind of giving a really good look around.
Okay. Gastone has determined that wires is the wrong term to use here. They use smart material directly beneath the floor. A smart material like with sort of a crystalline gel layer in it, which can be modified by nanites to create power flow. It can basically redirect itself to create electrical current to wherever it needs to go. So the hologram projectors are embedded, tiny little micro projectors all over the place, and the power just flows through the building, through the floor. And that means that if a power line is cut, it can automatically load balance through the nearby smart panels to route the power through there. John, the first time you went through here when it wasn't under EXARCH control, you know that the original main generator was deep underground underneath this whole thing.
Can you repeat that one more time?
The last thing I said or everything?
The last thing you said.
The main power generator the last time you were here was deep underground.
Okay, so they brought it up. Okay.
Yeah, it's where no. The power generator might still be down there. It's just flowing through these smart panels to avoid having single power lines that can be cut.
So, but I mean, this portal was brought up though. The gate.
No, the portal is where it originally was, at kind of ground level in the facility.
Okay. Sorry, I guess I'm confused.
So the portal's at ground level in the facility. The facility is built up above it, and there's basement levels below, and that's where the generator is.
Gotcha. Okay, I see.
Yeah. They basically moved in and just rebuilt around what was already here.
During this investigation, since it seems that Gastone's science was able to figure out all of that, is John able to figure out exactly within about, I'd say 30 feet or so of this gate, any other electrical devices? Things that could be subject to an EMP?
Yeah, cameras, gun turrets. It's like the whole building is an electronic device. So an EMP would effectively black out all the smart electrical current panels nearby. It would neutralize all of the hologram emitters in the area. It would neutralize any turrets and sensors, because there's also sensors embedded all over the place, which is part of how Furos keeps track of you. It's not like there are micro sensors and micro cameras embedded all over the place inside this chamber.
Gotcha. Okay. So, well, I guess what I'm wondering here is, let's say if I was to cause an EMP with my effect, if I was trying to only target one specific thing, am I able to try to focus my pulse, my technomancy pulse, instead of it hitting an area like a fireball? I would just target one specific thing.
That would take inspiration, because that's not the intended use. It's a pulse, right? So it's just, I generate this thing and it goes out in all directions. So to focus it would require a point of inspiration, or Gastone to invent some sort of a gadget later on that focuses it.
Gotcha.
I mean, he might be able to do it on the fly if he had to. The thing is, remember, you are under constant observation here.
Yeah. No, I'm mostly just thinking about when we return, we're going to be subject to that same effect, and I'd like to be able to short circuit it the moment we arrive. Because that's bad. That you're saying that's what stuns us and makes sure that everything looks normal, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that when we return, I don't want to be subject to being stunned or the rest of our party being paralyzed when we.
Got it.
So I mean, if I have to, I can just take out the whole damn thing when I walk in.
Just make sure you're the last one out, dude, because you don't want to EMP this thing when somebody's still in transit. You know what I mean? Okay. Hara, as power flows to it and a glowing energy field, it flickers at first, almost like a fire building up heat. It glows brighter and brighter before it becomes just a swirling surface of plasma. Once it's all charged up, she applies the Kimsabin key, rotates it several times. The portal flares, She takes longer than she did in the museum because now she's not about to be assassinated by ninjas, so she has the time.
Yeah.
She modulates it several times. It takes a few minutes until at last the color of the portal changes to a brilliant green, and she stands up silhouetted against it. Looks over at Asena, ready to go home?
You know, the way you said that, like, I'm kind of scared to go through this portal and don't know what you mean.
She offers you her hand.
Asena will take her hands.
All right.
Hey, mate, quick question. You see
Uh-huh.
that aura around John there?
Yeah.
If I was to put a pulse, let's say on this point, trying to avoid the actual portal, would I
Mhm.
be able, with what Gastone is telling me, to take out the program that allows it to do the whole stunning thingamajiggy
Yes.
without hurting the portal?
Probably.
How about that?
Probably. Everything's connected to everything else, but this thing is designed for redundancy. So if in a non-EXARCH facility, you're pretty sure this would create huge danger. In an EXARCH facility, because there's so many like backup things, probably that would work.
Okay, just thinking for next time.
Hara and Asena, as John is doing these calculations, Hara and Asena are standing in front of the portal hand in hand. They are about to step forward. All right. They do. The two of them walk into the wall of light, leaving Gastone and John.
I'm right behind them. I'm not going to let this. I don't trust it.
John walks.
Yeah, I'm walking too.
Okay. The lot of you step into the doorway. Your stomach drops out from underneath you. Your whole skin prickles with energy. And we'll come back to Coriander Society Adventures after this break.